And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We're here to speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. As always, we're coming to you from the spiritual and soon-to-be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. We've got an unbelievable show for you, and it's a little different than usual also. And I'll let you in on the surprise in 1 second. But if you've got any questions or comments, feel free to email me at Aaron, A-A-R-O-N, at Lighthouse with an L, lighthousecapital.co.il. That's Aaron at lighthousecapital.co.il, or you can check me out on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com. That's www.aaronkatzman.com. You can find me on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe to my new YouTube page, and we're all over social media. What can I tell you? Now, what is the big suspense? Well, for one of the first times, I'm actually going to do an interview. Yes, a lot of people are saying, Katzman, we're sick of you. We're sick of just listening to you go on and on and on and on. Bring some life to the show. Bring somebody else to the show. So I am going to do that. And it's my honor to introduce Rifka Lebowitz, who is well known, very well known in Israel, as like, for the Anglo community, like the guru for personal finance and helping people. She's got a Facebook group called Living Financially Smarter in Israel. And after this show, I just checked before we went on, and you have like 28,868 members. So hopefully when we finish this show, you'll crack 30,000, okay? And Rifka is a personal and business financial consultant. She's author of the best-selling Smarter Israeli Banking book, which was a big, big hit when it came out and is still relevant. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit. And she's been in the Israeli banking industry for many years. She made Aliyah from Glasgow, so I apologize in advance for her accent, but you'll be able to understand her. She's married. She's got 4 kids. Rifka, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. Hi, Aaron. Thank you for having me here.
It's my pleasure. So I'd like to speak a little bit about why you decided to start the Facebook group, what got you to start it, and how has it evolved, and what you're doing with it now to help people.
So it's been around for almost 10 years. So it was quite like at the beginning of Facebook when people were starting to join Facebook. And my business tagline was always like, I'm helping people financially smarter in Israel. And I spoke to a marketing person like, hey, why don't you try Facebook groups? So I opened a group thinking, you know, my mom will join, maybe some friends will join. If I'm really lucky, my husband will join. Thinking if we get to 100 people, that would be amazing. And I'm even quoted in an article in a paper in London when we got to like 6,000, like, oh yeah, 8,000 is the cap. So I totally did not get to, you know, almost 30,000 people. And it's really grown. At first it was just, you know, me posting some financial tips, and it's grown to everybody asking a lot of questions, getting a lot of advice. A lot of people pre-Aliyah are joining and asking questions, and it's grown beyond what I could have imagined.
That's amazing, incredible. So you mentioned the key word, Aliyah, and it's been reported in the press that interest in Aliyah is off the charts. Yitzhak Herzog, the head of the Jewish agency, he was quoted in a Jerusalem Post article a week or two ago saying he expects next year for there to be over 55,000 Olim. He looks for over 100,000 Olim in the next 2 years. I know from Nefesh B'Nefesh, they put out some statistics that they're like, have had record-breaking downloads of applications, like by far and away. Aliyah is very hot right now. It was hot because of COVID-19. It's gotten hotter because of what's going on now in America. And can you tell me a little bit about what Olim, this is very important, right? Olim are they're thinking about coming to Israel. The financial aspect it takes front and center. Can you give us some tips on what Olim should look for when they want to make a financial Aliyah?
Sure. So Olim, one of people's biggest concerns is how are they going to make it in Israel? So, I mean, I think that's obviously a big concern, but it's not something we can answer across the board. What we see a lot, people are asking and need to know is, what will the actual move cost me? How do I move my money out of the US? You know, for people that, you know, the day-to-day money. How do I move it out of the US? How do I bring it to Israel? I've heard a lot of rumors about the banks and how they're so expensive and so hard to deal with in Israel. So you're like, okay, if I can't use a bank, how do I move money over? And I think, setting yourself up in a new country where you're not familiar with, let's say, the pension products, because there aren't 401ks and it just doesn't work the same, is something that's super important for Olim. So it's resetting themselves up. It's getting their long-term finances in order. It's getting their short-term, their budget, like, can they make it in Israel? Answered and in order, so that they know that they'll be okay here. And I think that really is people's biggest fear, is like, I'll make friends, I'll find a neighborhood, I'll make that work, but can the financial side of my Aliyah work for me?
And how do you help them to try and solve those issues?
So, I mean, you mentioned, for example, the book. So people were so confused about banking. I brought out a book, Smarter Israeli Banking, that just explained the banking system to people so they'd understand. The second thing is the Facebook group, the Living Financially Smarter, for example, has so much information. Like, people are asking questions, people are answering. What does this cost you? How does this work? How does that work? Whatever. There's a lot of information also on the Nefesh B'Nefesh website. And the other thing is, like, I'm doing, just as an example, I'm doing a class. I do a class once a month, and I'm doing a class this coming Sunday on June 14th on how to create your own post-Aliyah budget, because people just don't know what they can expect life to cost them. They know schooling's less. They know certain things are less, certain things are more, but they don't know what it's going to cost them. And in the workshop, we spend 90 minutes with, a number of people with worksheets and explain how they can calculate what their life is expected to cost them.
Well, and how do people, that's fascinating, and it's very cool, because I know that people turn to me, right? I deal more with their investments than the rest of the personal finance package, but I always get emails like, how much is it going to cost me to live in Israel, right? And I don't really, that's obviously a loaded question, and it's hard, depends on each individual situation. So I think it's great that you're providing this service. How can people sign up to this webinar that you're going to be doing?
Oh, it's on my website, Rifka with an F, RifkaLebowitz.com. So it's RifkaLebowitz.com. Under classes, it's on the first page. It says classes. People can see all the details there and sign up via the link on the front page.
And it's this coming Sunday, the June the 14th. Is that right?
14th, yeah.
June the 14th.
Yeah.
And what time will that be?
It's 9 p.m. Israel time.
Okay. So
I think that's 2 p.m. in New York.
Okay. And it'll really help people get a handle on what they should expect budget-wise after they make Aliyah, so they can help plan their Aliyah much more efficiently.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are variables. Like, I don't know if you're going to choose an apartment to rent at, 4,000 shekel a month or 12,000 shekel a month. But we can build a budget and go through what expenses should cost in Israel, what they look like, so that people have a picture and can understand what they should be able to afford when they're here. Give out worksheets. I give out examples of different people's budgets, singles, retirees, and families, so that people can see what other people are spending. Obviously, it's anonymous, and spend the 90 minutes where we're going through every expense. I explain what they can expect from each thing, so they can really finish it with a budget that works for them.
This is the Aaron Katzman Show with your host, Aaron Katzman. We're speaking about your life, your money, and your investments. We've got a special guest, Rifka Lebowitz, who is author of Smarter Israeli Banking, and the founder of the famous Facebook group, say that 5 times really fast, Living Financially Smarter in Israel. And she's gonna be giving a webinar for those who are thinking about making Aliyah, what to look forward to, what your post-Aliyah budget is gonna be. If you've got any questions or comments for me, feel free to email me at Aaron, AARON, at lighthouse with an L, lighthousecapital.co.il. That's Aaron at lighthousecapital.co.il. You can check me out on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com. That's www.aaronkatzman, aaronkatzman.com. Be sure to sign up to the new YouTube channel. We're on Twitter. We're all over social media, so you can find all the information about the business. Again, we're speaking with Rifka Lebowitz. When you look at your Facebook group, right, there are a lot of questions. I mean, I've never done a survey, but right, the most popular questions is how do people transfer money? Should they have an American credit card? What do you answer them to these kinds of questions?
So should they have an American credit card? The answer is an absolute yes, and preferably one that doesn't have fees when you're using it abroad, meaning in Israel. And the idea is that Israeli banks work differently. So even when you arrive here, when you first arrive here, you're not actually going to be offered an Israeli credit card. And when I say Israeli credit cards in Israel are actually debit cards that are charged once a month. So the whole system works differently. And so you're not going to arrive here and just have a credit card if you want to go buy furniture for your new home or whatever. So I do recommend that people bring a credit card with them that they can use here. Depending if they're going to have Israeli income or US income, they may stop using the card after a while, once more, or may continue using the card if they're, for whatever reason, they don't want it to come straight to their Israeli account, which is an option. And they may need the card. So I absolutely recommend that people have a US card.
Okay, that's great. And I think the power of your Facebook group is really the crowd, right? You don't even, sometimes we don't even see your name popping up giving answers to the question. Everybody else sort of helps. It's a real, you've created a community, one heck of a big community, which is very, very cool. Let me ask you something else. You don't just give webinars and write books, right? You work with individuals to help solve these issues as well, correct?
Yeah. I do individual consulting, and I also obviously run the group. And you're right, I don't always show up. I'm busy working one-on-one with clients on, helping them live financially smarter in Israel while people are on the group and talking on the group.
Okay. The old joke was, how do you make it financially in Israel? You come, how do you make $1 million in Israel? You come with two. That was the old Aliyah joke when I came to Israel almost 30 years ago. Today, obviously, there's so much opportunity, and that there's not a lot of truth anymore to that joke. But people are sort of still, when I tell them that there's tremendous opportunity here, people sort of look at me, they don't believe it. I'm going to ask you, because you deal with people one-on-one all the time, and you deal with their finances. Israel really is the land of opportunity. Isn't that true?
I think it's so true. Anytime anyone writes that joke on my Facebook group, I actually feel like removing it. I'm like, that's Israel 1980, 1990. That is not Israel in 2020. In 2020, there are better jobs. There are better opportunities. The world's gone global. There's online opportunities. People bring jobs from abroad. People bring investments. There's so much. There's the whole high-tech industry, which is booming in Israel. There's so much opportunity here. And it's just, that story and that joke just don't belong in Israel of 2020. That doesn't mean there aren't people that are struggling. It doesn't mean that there aren't people that don't find jobs, but it means overall, as an economy, Israel has a lot more to offer than it used to. People are making money. People are doing better. I mean, you walk around Israel and you see that people are doing financially better than they were 20 years ago and 30 years ago and whatever. I think you and I probably made Aliyah around the same time. So there's definitely a ton of opportunity here, and I'm always telling people that, and I'm glad to hear you're also always telling people that.
This is like a hatikva moment, but we're not. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, we're not drinking the Kool-Aid. It really is like, because of the sun behind me, I've got to keep my blinds down. But if I can raise my blinds, they say the national bird of Israel is the crane because of all the building, right? There's this building going on. It really is amazing. Okay, Rifka, thanks so much. Once again, how do people get in contact with you?
RifkaLebowitz.com, RifkaLebowitz.com. You can find information about the class there, and you can reach me there.
And once again, there is still time to register for the webinar, the post-Aliyah budgeting webinar, which is going to be 9 p.m. Israel time on the 14th of June. Rifka Lebowitz, thank you so much. You've been listening to the Aaron Katzman Show with your host, Aaron Katzman. I'm here to speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to email me at Aaron, A-A-R-O-N, at Lighthouse with an L, lighthousecapital.co.il. That's Aaron at lighthousecapital.co.il. You can check me out on the web at www.aaronkatzman.com, on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Rifka Lebowitz, thank you so much, and we'll speak to you all very, very soon.